Dan Plumley is Senior Lecturer in Sport Finance at Loughborough University in the UK.
And we can draw parallels here with perhaps the failed European Super League attempt a few years ago. It seems to have certainly kicked off in the media. I'm surprised probably it's taken this long to reach a kind of statement like this from FIFA. Everything we know about the game has suggested a move towards more commercialisation. This is, of course, a very controversial one, but it was always, I guess, likely to happen at some point where there is money to be made from some of the prize assets of world football.
You mentioned that failed European Super League a few years ago. There was a really strong reaction to that, and that brought it down. Do you anticipate something similar here?
I think it's possible we could see that. Obviously, early stages so far. I think FIFA will hold firmer than perhaps the European Super League did. I think we're likely to see a more bullish approach from them moving forward in the coming days and months. But it's certainly not beyond the realms of possibility that this could collapse, as you say, linked to the backlash that we've seen so far.
FIFA says this will help increase funds for grassroots development. There's also reports that there would be a $20 million one-off incentive for the member associations who vote to go ahead with this. Now, surely some of them, perhaps the smaller member associations who need that money, will be inclined to vote positively.
That is absolutely the case, and FIFA will point to that. If you look at the finances of it and the predictions that FIFA are talking about, if those predictions are hit, if this were to go through and those numbers are hit, as you say, the uplift for member associations that don't have access to that sums of money normally would be huge. And, you know, again, we're looking at this through a European lens, and we're talking about UEFA and some of the bigger member associations, but to some of those smaller ones, that amount of money is huge. And if FIFA can almost guarantee that revenue for them cycle on cycle, and there is an uplift, you can absolutely see why some of those member associations would vote for it, and that's going to be one of the interesting subplots here as we move through.
This is the latest in a series of controversies surrounding FIFA. How damaging is all this to its brand, and does it care?
Well, I think the timing of this is interesting in that regard, as you say, because, of course, we're just off the back of a Men's World Cup, but probably, again, the biggest we've seen in terms of your FIFA's revenue cycle. They're going to report record revenues for the cycle, but we've seen controversy follow that event from start to finish, and some of that has been political. Of course, the situation with the USA men's player and the red card, some of it's linked to the Super Bowl-style halftime shows and the hydration breaks, but all of those things, the hydration breaks particularly, have brought with them added commercial value and benefit for sponsors and broadcasters, and that's where we go back to the money. And I think these things are often, as always, tied up in that monetary argument, that there is always good and bad PR that comes with these things, and FIFA have certainly been on the wrong side of some of that with some of the things that have happened with this World Cup. But ultimately, the money is what we're talking about here, and you can see, again, when those kind of numbers are on the table, it is understandable in the kind of cold business sense of why some of these things happen, and football has certainly become more commercialised in the last 20, 30 years or so. You know, we've seen that move forward at a phenomenal pace.